Can an $850 PC beat the PlayStation 5 Pro? The answer is yes. We know what's in the PlayStation 5. We know what's in the Series X. If you wanted to go ahead and, verify that, as Digital Foundry, they have a video that they made a year ago. This video, in my opinion, should be mandatory viewing for anybody who wants to pretty much understand the nature of the PlayStation 5 console and the Xbox Series consoles. In this video, Digital Foundry gets their hands on an AMD 4800S desktop kit, which was a Chinese OEM only PC board featuring the Series X's APU paired with 16 gigs of GDDR6 memory. The onboard GPU is disabled, but there's enough PCI bandwidth to attach powerful graphics cards. So do you know what they did, guys? They put the 7900 XTX, which was the most powerful AMD GPU at the time. They strapped it onto this thing. They did some tests to see other CPUs and where those CPUs would rank in terms of power and capability. Since that day, I already pretty much could sit here and build you a PC that would, number one, smoke the CPU via AMD's nomenclature, how they basically go ahead and rank their, CPUs. For instance, the Ryzen 5 7600 is 184% in terms of CPU potential compared to the 4800S, which is at 83. So it has basically a huge leap on it. So any CPU that is around this range is already basically doing way more than that CPU capability. As for the GPU capability, we kind of know that it performs somewhere around the 6700 non-XT-ish, maybe somewhere, back and forth. So you compare it up with a GPU of that nature, and then you basically have yourself a build that will do the job. If you go any further, you have already beaten the PS5 Pro, because the PS5 Pro, the CPU is slightly overclocked, of which if you stick with the CPU around this range, you nuke it from orbit, and then its GPU basically has a slight improvement to it, and all you need is anything better than a 6700 non-XT. The build that I made was using a 6750 XT. This is at the time I bought it, $300 GPU, of which I went ahead to pretty much talk in terms of detailing the costs. I put it on here on a Google Doc, and I've been building this Google Doc since when I built the PC, all the way back somewhere around last year. This is December 2024. I think I kicked this thing off around the first part of the year, March of 2024. I showed you guys all of this because you're about to see some comments that if you were in my position, you'd wonder and say, what in the world are these people talking about? Comment number one. This person says these prices are completely wrong. At least be honest with 2025 prices of these parts. It's way more expensive than what you're saying. Now, I got to ask you, Darkstar777, which parts did you say is completely wrong from the video? Because a CPU that can do what or close to the CPU that I just showed you will be a Ryzen, Ryzen 550, Ryzen 755, 5700. Sorry. So if we go to AMD's website, Ryzen 7, 5700, even with 2025 prices, of which the PS5 Pro did not launch in 2025, and I made these videos pointing out that if you wanted to go ahead and build a PC, this was basically the time to do so. I remember making those videos at the time, and some people told me I was crazy. That CPU right now, that can pretty much, because the 5800X3D is discontinued, but the 5700 would do a good job, or the 5700X is around $126, $130. My 5800X3D that I put in this particular build as of this date, which I bought for about $250 from a GameStop. Forgive me for actually trying to, help people to understand PC components. I can go ahead and reduce that cost over here by a good $100, putting this thing at $787. If I did that, the PS5 Pro is going to be naked. I'm trying to basically not make it look like it's a bloodbath, but some of you always have to come out here and say something silly. As for the GPU right now, the 6750 XT is no longer, well, right now it's not available anyways, but its MSRP at the time was around 350 euros. If you're buying in the US, it was around 300, and in some cases it was slightly expensive. And I got it, I think it was $313. This thing was sitting on the market and they were selling the thing and they were almost begging you to come and take it. And some people did not want to listen. They thought somewhere, somehow, that this PS5 Pro was going to pretty much be the newest and the greatest thing ever. And I said to myself, there's just no way PlayStation is going to give you this much hardware for that much money. What else is this person that's actually saying is talking about? What did I call in my video that the prices are wrong for? I showed you the motherboard. Did you not see the motherboard in my video? Do you want to go ahead and see the motherboard? I opened up Amazon. In the video, I showed you the price of motherboards on Amazon. Where is it? Right about somewhere here. Where is it? Let me show you. Because some people will write this stuff in the comment section and run away, right? I showed you the price of RAM on Amazon. You got to see it yourself. 2025 pricing, you said, right? Then I showed you the cases, the coolers on PC Part Picker. We saw a cooler for $30 here, 2025 pricing. Then I showed you the motherboards. I showed the motherboards here on this video for AM4 motherboards. I took an average of them. I think there were some for 70 something dollars, some for 80, some for 100. And I went ahead and just put an average of about $80 for an AM4 motherboard. I've also seen some PC gamers saying that this AM4 thing is a dead platform. I'm like, guys, we don't have dead platforms on PC. I don't know why people keep saying that. Well, there's no upgrade path for you. How many CPUs are you going to buy in one generation? I mean, come on, somebody please. You're going to buy two. Maybe you buy an entry and then you buy the max that your budget can carry you for. And that's it. And that max that you're going to buy is probably going to be able to do you a solid 8 years unless you get trigger happy and get itchy. And then you want to go buy the next thing, of which even the max in that generation, the consoles would never even touch it. Can you imagine somebody having bought the 7800X 3D and is now itching to basically go upgrade within AM5? It's so weird. Except they just want to do it, and which is fine. But I'm just saying that, PC gamers, you also got to calm down. Like, this overly bouginess is us being crazy when the console can't even match the base, CPU that you're going to buy in that generation, not to even talk about the upgrade. But back to the comment, because I think this comment was very, very disingenuous. The person never bothered to look at the prices, and they basically said, that this is completely wrong, and the prices are more expensive than what I'm saying. The prices are here. You can go see them. Why do people always do this? What is wrong with being honest? And then to call somebody else dishonest for your own, I don't know what it is. Maybe your own, lack of looking at, say, the reality and looking at the numbers. I mean, I'm not responsible for, you not looking at numbers out there and then you coming to the channel and saying that. Because at the end of the day, it's actually very interesting. This is why I think what happened is this generation, PlayStation fans, fanboys, I won't say PlayStation fans, PlayStation fanboys, they sniffed their own farts heavily and they started to say some really outlandish things. They were all drunken in a state of stupor, thinking that they could basically foment fantasies. And then they kind of tiptoed into like where PC gamers talk about hardware. And that was it. They've not been allowed to leave since they walked on into this camp. And what's going to happen is they're going to need an education. And many of them are either going to be converted or they're going to give up this whole thing entirely. I mean, Nib95 had to block the Turk. He done walked into the wrong, he told the Turk that the Turk could not put together a build that looked like the Series S and checked Black Myth Wukong, and the Turk went insane. How do you tell an engineer and a scientist that he cannot do something that is perfectly, available to do on the market? And so the Turk went full-blown PhD level on him, and he blocked him and ran away. Because this is exactly what you guys pretty much sometimes, and I'm talking about the fanboys, I'm not talking about the fans, I'm not talking about those who want a game on console, I'm not talking about you. These fanboys, though, that pretty much make the punditry of what's going on can be somewhat, I don't know, they can be somewhat weird. And they'll be fomenting these lies, and some people believe these lies. I can tell you that this person who came out here and said that these prices are not the 2025 prices, to me, is just insane, because even the 2025 prices are actually less when it comes to the components that can do and beat the PS5 Pro. So I was leaving my data sets up here in order for me to maintain fairness. If I try to redo that PC again, that PC is going to basically be built even much better. All I have to do is remove $100 from this particular CPU, throw it into the GPU pricing, and that's the end of that PS5 Pro with a clear margin. I'm talking the brake lights of that PC can never be seen by that PlayStation 5 Pro. So understand that when you say things like that, you want to skew data for your own personal, I don't know what it is, and you end up basically putting and digging yourself into a bigger hole. No one is competing with you. Do you understand? I don't know why some console fanboys think that there's there is no competition. Your console is a glorified PC hiding inside a box that AMD and PlayStation have tagged. Hence, what we got to see here when the folk at Digital Foundry were able to get their hands on this Chinese OEM part that's basically made of the exact same, CPU or APU, that is inside of the Series X. And then they even showed the one for the PS5. So again, AMD, which is this is going to be the topic of my next video, but AMD doesn't care at the end of the day. They celebrated over 100 million AMD gaming devices out there. I mean, do you know what that means for them? They couldn't be bothered. And so me trying to basically show you a different part because somebody said, another content creator, it's not me competing with you because AMD doesn't care about your Sony PlayStation or your Xbox Series X or S. They couldn't be bothered about those things. They've already had their dealings with Sony, taken their check and walked away. As for their GPUs and CPUs, they still have to then go ahead and still serve that market because that market really does them a lot of good as well too. So I'm showing you the options that are out here and basically the methodology that we use to do this. And I just feel like right now we're missing a lot of humility in this conversation. No one's arguing with you. If you want to argue about the components of PC and all that stuff, you have to do so within the framework of understanding the hardware and understanding the pricing. If you feel me. So again, I was sounding the alarm a while ago saying, man, you're better off building a PC than buying a PS5 Pro for performance because at any time you can pretty much upgrade your PC components and you should be squared away to be able to get good performance wherever it is that you feel like. But this is pretty much what we're seeing. This video is now attracting so many interesting comments. I'm going to take my time to answer as much of them as I possibly can. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you all so much. Peace out.